All right, I'm making this video in response to the Femtheist rant that I just saw. It was a response to this Daniel guy, some, small-minded man who had the balls to stand up to her insane rhetoric. Well, luckily for him, he still has his balls, something she would like to do away with. She's mentioned that men are the responsible for all wars. She mentioned that men are the only perpetrators of violent crimes. And I just want to point out some things that men have led other men into battle over the attention and affection of women throughout history. It may not be why the generals and the kings and popes, etc., may not have been why they went to war every time. Granted, they went to war over other reasons, but more often than not, it was the reason that the ground soldier, was going to war. Why he actually picked up his sword and his shield and he went to war. Like the movie 300, the Spartan wife tells his husband, bring home your shield or be carried on it, victory or death. Protect us. Protect us. That protection of the women and their offspring is why men went to war, because they perceived a threat, whether it was real or actualized by the powers that be. It's why the grunt was willing to throw himself into the melee. And women have always pushed for it. One of the biggest examples is during the Great War. That's World War One for a certain blonde idiot out there. The women had what they called the White Feather Campaign, where they would hand out little white feathers of cowardice to men who didn't want to join the war. It wasn't their fight. They didn't care that some Serb got murked in Bosnia or wherever he got murked in. They'd give him white feathers and shame him into going. They'd shame him into joining the war because that was the thing to do. And that was the only thing that would make the men appealing to him. So the men joined the war, and just look up the figures. Millions of men died in that. And yes, mostly men die in war. Women to this day, well, it may be changing now, but they historically have not been allowed anywhere near front line. It's not a discrimination thing. It was to protect them. And it's a cultural thing. As a Western male, I was raised to protect women. And it is still something that I cling to, as much as I hate to say it. She also says that men are the only ones who rape or domestic violence. Well, newsflash, honey. Women, they're more likely to murder their children. Casey Anthony much? Remember her? Yeah, I don't care what that dipshit jury said. That worthless cunt killed her little girl. She should be frying in an electric chair somewhere, not out partying or doing whatever the fuck that stupid cunt's doing. Women, I actually will tell you right now, women beat their children, and yes, women even rape children. Every other week, it seems, there's some new article coming up, either on Yahoo News or Huffington Post, about some female teacher who seduced some young man in her class and engaged in inappropriate sexual relationships. In fact, there was just one, I think it was in Texas, where she was banging the fucking football team. Yeah, just imagine if, the head football coach had banged the cheerleading squad, just how up in arms you'd be over that. Oh, but they're boys. It's different for them. How's it different for them? They're under throes of puberty. They have no more control over themselves than a young girl does being seduced by an older, more sophisticated man. And I use the term sophisticated very loosely. Yes, women rape young men. Fact. It happens far more often in our public school systems than the other way around, because society kind of like, oh, what a lucky dude. Yeah, what a lucky dude indeed. He gets his little mind wrapped up and just completely toyed with by some older woman, and and then eventually he's going to get tossed to the side. Furthermore, we now live in a society where women have all the power, and especially they have all the power when it comes to reproductive rights. Women have nearly all the birth control options. They have pills, implants, IUDs, spermicidal gels, so on and so forth. What do men have? We can get a vasectomy and permanently take away our chance of spreading our genes, which is, as a human, our fundamental edict, what we all seek to do. Or we have condoms, which makes sex about as personal as a fucking handshake. And I'm sorry, if you're in a committed monogamous relationship, you're not going to want to be using condoms the entire fucking time. So the only option men have is either use the condom and make sex generally suck for us, or trust that our woman is keeping up on her birth control, as it isn't going to screw us over by stopping her birth control and getting pregnant. And yes, I am saying screwing us over by getting pregnant. And yes, it is not control over your reproductive rights to say you could have worn a condom or to say you could just not have sex. Those both go against the nature of humanity. And if that's your stance on it, you're fucking stupid. Women are also far more likely to engage in domestic violence against their children. I personally was abused by my mother, and I hope I can cut that out. Women also get all the power in the so-called family courts. It takes nothing for a woman to get a restraining order against a man, but it's a fight tooth and nail for a man to get a restraining order against a woman. It takes nothing for a woman to get a man arrested for domestic violence, but if a man calls the police on his partner for beating him, then he is most likely going to be the one hauled off to jail. I, however, did win my battle in the courts. It took me almost a year, and I had pictures of my ex-wife's gross negligence and abuse of my then 15-month-old son. Let me put it this way. It involved my 15-month-old son and a fucking beer bong. And I still had to fight tooth and nail to get this woman-protecting system to recognize her for the monster she is and to give me my kids and allow me the privilege, because remember, for men, it's not a right, it's a privilege to raise and protect our children. The Femtheist is a total and complete fucking moron. She is advocating the mutilation of half the world's population, all of us big, bad, scary men, and the murder of those who don't comply. And for anyone who disagrees with us, they're misogynistic, they're woman haters, they're just evil, evil, satanic sons of bitches. Well, you stupid bitch, fuck you. And I'm telling you right now, in the weirdest, slightest little inkling of a chance that was ever able to happen, you're not going to get me. In fact, the only men you're going to get are the ones you already have. You're weak-minded, small-minded, already beaten, broken men who already kowtow to your fucked up feminist movement. They're the only ones you're ever going to get to just lay down and let you cut their balls off. Femtheist, I don't normally like to wish violence on people, but I really hope you get hit by a fucking truck.